Hello and welcome to The Print. We have with us author and consulting editor of Hindustan Times, Sunita Aron. Welcome to The Print, ma'am. We also have with us our political editor, D.K. Singh. In this special episode of Political Adda, we will be discussing what all is happening in Uttar Pradesh. We saw how Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath is in a way under attack from his own deputy Keshav Maurya. So what all has happened in the past, the state committee meeting where a lot transpired. To know all of this, we have with us Sunita Aron. Ma'am, what exactly has happened and why suddenly we are hearing Keshav Prasad Maurya making a number of statements which seems to be that he's questioning the authority of the chief minister?
I think everything is very clear. The party's fall, it was a fall from their expected figure of 75 to 33. And they were expecting that UP is going to offset their losses in other states. Lucky for them that they win in Karnataka and Bihar. JDU, your RJD didn't do so well. So they have been able to form the government. So they were depending heavily on UP. Now, what has happened is naturally after a defeat like this, you do some introspection, you do some reviews. And BJP is a party which doesn't do reviews for a day. It is known as Chintan Manthan ki party. It goes on and on and on. And they are not able to take a decision on what they have to do. But one thing which is very sure is that somewhere there are a lot of rumblings, and Keshav Prasad Maurya and initially Brijesh Pathak, the other deputy CM, they were the ones who started it. Like they were absenting from the cabinet meetings, and most of the time you read their actions, a little bit of their statements. There is nothing like something being said very concrete, which you can say, okay, they're demanding Yogi to go. They are only saying that the workers have been disrespected and there has been a lot of rumblings for that. Now, having said so, now the party did a review and they did a very, very exhaustive review. And after the review, Nadda came here and they had a state executive meeting. Now, when you have a crowd of 3,000, you don't expect any decision. So it was basically they were bashing opposition, the wrong narrative that they had built around constitution and other things, and how BJP did their best and all that stuff. But two things which Keshav Prasad Maurya said, that I take pride in my workers. One. Second, that organization is always bigger than the government. Third was his tweet later. I'll read out few lines. आज लोग जो दंड की बात करते हैं वही कल पुरस्कार हो नहीं, आज लगे जो दंड वही कल पुरस्कार बन जाता है. This is very important. What you think is a punishment today becomes your blessing tomorrow, a prize tomorrow. निश्चित होगा प्रबल समर्थक अपने सत्य विचार का. Whatever I'm talking about, I will get overwhelming support. कर्मवीर को फर्क नहीं पड़ता कभी जीत और हार में. A person like a devoted soldier like me, it doesn't impact whether defeat or victory, that doesn't impact them. Now, what does it mean? Is it he who's going to go in the first round, or he'll move to Delhi, because both of them can't now be in the government. He has to go. So that is for sure.
Sunita, I have just one basic question first, especially for our viewers who may not be very familiar with Keshav Prasad Maurya. As we know, when he was made the state BJP president, UP BJP president way back in 2016, he was hailed as UP's Modi, because he also helped his father at his tea stall. Maurya was a newspaper vendor when he was a kid. He had a struggle through. Of course, he was in the RSS, he was in the VHP. He led that cow protection movement, Gau Raksha movement. He was part of that. So he has been basically a typical Sangh person. But then, of course, in 2016, when he became the state BJP president, that was the first time everybody started talking about how close he was to Amit Shah. Of course, Amit Shah was the general secretary in charge of UP before he became the president. So then only they got very close. So that is, rise in the organization. Sung background, it has really helped him. But for somebody who lost his last assembly election, I mean, he's not such a mass leader as such. Somebody who became deputy CM in Yogi's first term also, and constantly all through 5 years we kept hearing stories about how Maurya would be trying to undermine Yogi. Then again you are brought back, you lose election, you are brought back. I mean, that tells you his power. I mean, you may be close to the high command, but for a powerful chief minister like Yogi having to bring Maurya back as deputy CM, that itself was a big signal. Yogi on his own wouldn't have done that. And now you're right after Lok Sabha election, this attack starts. I mean, first two cabinet meetings and then a review meeting, Maurya absents himself. He was in Delhi. Again, this meeting, when you talk about its organization, is bigger than the government, and nobody is bigger than the organization. We know what he is talking about, but what is the source of his strength? Why is the BJP tolerating it? Question is, if you are so close to Amit Shah would just call you that stop bringing all these things out in the open. And here he meets Nadda, and very next day comes out and writes it again on, he tweets that organization is bigger than the government.
DK, you see, Bharatiya Janata Party has always been caught in a caste dilemma. If you remember, in the 1989, when VP Singh had launched Mandal Commission, that time they decided to have a backward phase. So Kalyan Singh they found. Now again, when the opposition is talking about caste census, when the opposition has been able to create a wedge in the backward vote bank, now they think that they need a backward phase. And as of now, they have Keshav Prasad Maurya as the most senior backward phase of the party. One. Second, they tried to use that Yadav chief minister from Madhya Pradesh. Nothing happened. As regarding his support, of course, he has to have a support from Delhi, somebody who's most senior to Yogi, to take up cudgels against the chief minister. Otherwise, by now, the disciplinary action should have been taken. And this is not that he has done it now, he has been doing it earlier also. And everybody knows that he's an unhappy person. Yogi also doesn't spare him, In official working, there are a lot of files that go to the chief minister. Do they get cleared? Does the files of health department get cleared? No. So there are ways of, like if he's using somebody from Delhi, whether it is Amit Shah or anybody else, then Yogi also has his own way of creating problems, impediments in their working. So this is a tussle which is going on, and I think a time has come when one of them will remain in the government. As of now, my gut feeling is, after reading his tweet, that it will be Keshav who will be giving important organizational position at the center. He may not stay in UP. I don't think so. He'll be happy to be state president. Now, why I say so is that, look, can they remove Yogi? Let's ask this question ourselves. Can they remove Yogi right now when the center doesn't feel so strong? Center has elections coming up in 3 states. He wears saffron. He's stubborn. He's a leader who will say, I'm not coming to Delhi, I go to my mutt. He revives his Hindu Vahini. What happens, Look, Yogi is somebody who was earlier confined to Gorakhpur and the region and his mutt. When he came, it's like he was a person who suited the ideology of the BJP and the RSS, and they needed somebody to go around the country and talk about it. And they couldn't find someone better than Yogi because he doesn't mince words. Like, he's somebody who will say what he believes in. I may not agree with that. You may not agree with that. But he will talk about it. The language that he will say, he will do it. So do you think today, when you have elections in states, and he's the Rajput, he has emerged as a Rajput leader again, and not of UP, but of a bigger of the country, at least one can say. He has some backing of sons also, although, I feel that sons are with nobody. Whosoever becomes chief minister, they'll support him. But because he's that mutt has its own prime position, so he owes that respect also from some of them. There is a hierarchy. They can't remove him immediately, otherwise they would have done it by now. Do you need to do such open introspection and discussion to remove a leader? When they decided not to have Shivraj Singh Chauhan and Vasundhara Raje, I think a chit was passed. You don't make so much of noise before leaving, before asking somebody to quit or removing him. You do it, you call the person, you discuss it, and you do it. So I think the center itself is caught in a lot of things right now. They are not that confident as they were. They don't want the party to suffer further. And somewhere they must be trying to assess whether removing Yogi will be beneficial or not.
So the question is, the fundamental question here is, who is to be blamed for what happened in UP in the Lok Sabha election? Now, to start with, as we all know, when the candidates were decided, as we know, our candidate list was being finalized before the Central Election Committee meeting. It was being finalized at the Prime Minister's house. JP Nadda was there, Amit Shah was there, they finalized the list, and Yogi was kept waiting for 2 hours because the list was getting finalized somewhere else. You come, the CEC meeting starts, and you read out the names. Yogi wanted at least half of these sitting candidates, sitting MPs to be replaced, which did not happen. So it was not that Yogi decided the candidates. That's point number one. Point number two, where you can actually, much better, when we talk about the party's performance in UP, was it a reflection on Yogi's performance or it a reflection on Modi government performance? Because as we were given to understand from the field that Yogi still enjoyed support on the ground.
Okay, now DK, there are two aspects of it. One, you said about candidate selection. I think as basically, I'm not talking about the regional parties, but in the national parties like Congress and BJP, it is the Central Election Committee which decides. The chief ministers and the state president, they send a report, they send their recommendation, and the final decision is taken by the Central Election Committee. Chief ministers may have a say or may not have a say. I'm very sure this issue would not have cropped up if they had performed better. If the same candidates had won the election, nobody would have spoken about whose candidate who was. Do we ever do any introspection? Do we do any type of a study after an election has been won? But coming to the other aspect of it that you raised about, this was one, and then you were talking about the other thing was about Yogi. You were asking about Yogi, that he was.
So UP election results. Yeah, please.
No, it's okay.
No, my question was, how do you read the UP election results? Is it a reflection on Yogi government's performance or the Modi government performance, or on Yogi or Modi?
Okay, now if you look at it from the type of campaign they had done, everywhere they went around and they said it is a double engine government. When you say it is a double engine government, you say it is PM and CM both. You don't say it is only CM or only PM. So a double engine government, if they take credit for all the good work they have done, they also take, the discredit for the losses in the elections. So you can't say that only Yogi is responsible or Modi is responsible. Now, on the popularity rating, Modi is also popular. He also gets crowds. Yogi is also popular. But some of his policies perhaps boomeranged. I feel that this bulldozer policy, which gave him a very good name when he was running them against the criminals. Later on, the target was the common man, the poor people. There are so many houses that have been razed to the ground, and they belong to poor people for reasons other than perhaps that they were encroachment or anything. Even if there is an encroachment and they have been living there for 40 years, there has to be some rules and regulations before you raise them. Sanjay Nishad has also pointed it out that as long as they were demolishing the house of criminals and mafias, it was fine. but after they started demolishing House of Common Man, it has proved negative. So you can't say whether it was only Yogi or Modi. Even Modi, his speeches, I don't think so. They were brilliant. They did not. Somebody like Modi, who understands the people and the pulse so well, reads it so well, does course correction in between, somehow failed to do that. The dialogues that he was the criminals, especially the Mangal Sutra and all that didn't do well. And by the time he realized that the constitution was the main thing which was impacting the party, it was late. By then it had gone all across the country, and the Dalits believed that they're going to amend the constitution. And then if you start blaming opposition, who would believe when your own people are saying we need 400 plus to amend the constitution? And constitution amendment could be for something else, but they are attached to B.R. Ambedkar emotionally, and they fear that the quota will go. There have been statements in the past where, the BJP leaders have spoken, and the RSS leadership has spoken about quota. We all know about it. So I think it's both. You can't put the blame on one person. Although the chief minister, being the face of the party in the state, is responsible, but UP is also Modi's state.
No, why I asked this question is because you see a concerted attempt to blame it all on the state government. So you have this Badlapur MLA, Ramesh Chandra. I mean, he is saying that in 2027 we have no chance, so central leadership has to intervene now, play a more active role. You have this MLC who is again questioning, he is actually blaming the bureaucracy, which means basically Yogi. We have heard many others. Then we hear the deputy CM. So there is a concerted attempt, many people talking. Now, when it comes to strong leaders like Narendra Modi or Yogi Adityanath, you don't really see, I won't say minions, but basically, not so powerful people, leaders making such statements about bigger leaders, and they are doing so openly without any fear of any consequences.
There was a time when informally Mulayam Singh Yadav ji used to say कि राजनीति जो होती है वो थाना और कोर्ट कचहरी से होती है. And we used to laugh, because we couldn't understand what exactly he meant at that time. So what he wanted to say was that people generally face problems at this level, at the level of Thana and in the collectorate. And people come to the chief minister for these small things. And I remember I asking him when I went to Etawah and I saw the roads were in a very bad shape. And I asked him, मैं कहा आप कैसा काम करते हैं? आप तो chief minister आपका इटावा में रोड्स नहीं बना हुआ है. बोले रोड से हमें वोट थोड़ी मिलेगा, हमारे को ये वोट जो आता है वो कोर्ट कचहरी से आता है. That time I couldn't understand. So problem with Yogi is, I'll be very frank, that he's not very obliging when it comes to his own party people. You see, the workers, the party MLAs, the MLCs, the other functionaries. You see, when you are in a public field, you have small requests coming to you. And where do you go? Because in this government, only Yogi decides everything. It's in his hand, because there were chief ministers like Kalyan Singh. I remember he had 2 or 3 secretaries who used to handle problems that MLAs and other people used to bring to them. And he only used to do a review or take a decision on very complicated issues. Otherwise, I remember there used to be one Mr. Dilip Kotia, he was an IS officer. There were another 2 officers who were only meeting MLAs and all that. This was Kalyan Singh, who was also not he was also not very accessible or very, very obliging. But still, he had evolved a system where, people could be heard. Somehow, Yogi is a different personality altogether. It could be because of his background. Like he's half politician and a half preacher. It could be because of that, because, people go before sons. But people want their work to be done. They have their people, like I say, I come from a constituency I have 100 people coming to me with small, small things. And if the DM doesn't listen to you or the SP doesn't listen, where do you go? Then you go to the minister, minister to the chief minister. So you don't have. So this issue has been there for quite some time. That he, when it comes to such issue, because he says that I'm here to do bigger jobs. I'm not here to do small, small petty jobs. Rightly so. But he has also not evolved any system where people could go and get their complaints addressed.
Where I was coming from was when you see an MLA, like I was talking about Badrapur MLA Ramesh Chandra, questioning, asking for central intervention, that High Command has to intervene more, otherwise we will lose in 27. I talked about another MLC who is questioning, like who is attacking the bureaucracy. Then you find the Deputy Chief Minister doing that. That raises some kind of suspicion that these are not isolated things. Probably there is a thread somewhere linking all of them. My question to you, Sunita ji, is Keshav Prasad Maurya fighting his own battle, or is he fighting for somebody else?
He's fighting his own battle or fighting for somebody else. Which, if I understand, is that if he's fighting Amit Shah's battle, because generally it is believed that it's a tussle between both of them, and for the position that Modi will vacate as and when. But I think if it is a proxy war, he has the support. I don't think so that it is a battle that he's fighting for Amit Shah. I think Amit Shah will have to fight his own battle. But he could be one of the props. He could be being used. And because he doesn't have a good relationship with Yogi himself, he wants to move out. So you can't say that, everybody has to, I'm being a little, it's a philosophical here, but you have to fight your own battle. You don't, you can help somebody fight one's battle. And Amit Shah, maybe he thinks that all these things should come out now. If it was undercover, that is fine, because the party, if they want to bring it out in the open, that's fine. But I think Keshav Prasad Maurya is doing both. He's doing both. He's fighting his battle because he has support of Amit Shah. I'll put it like that. It becomes easier to explain.
So, before we go to viewers' questions, just another question from me. You spoke about how the likelihood is that Keshav Prasad Maurya would move out, Yogi would stay. But for the moment, hypothetically, if we see Yogi getting impacted, do you think the BJP has an alternative face in UP today? I mean, can the BJP afford to get rid of Yogi Adityanath, if I may put it that way?
Are you, I couldn't get your question, but are you talking about the replacement part in brief?
Yes. So, can the BJP afford to let Yogi Adityanath go or force him to go and replace him with somebody else?
Look, DK, party is always bigger than the individual. I think people who have lived in this, I'll talk about Arjun Singh, I'll talk about Narayana Tiwari, I'll talk about Sharad Pawar. They left the party.
Kalyan Singh, Uma Bharti, we can name many. Yeah.
Quit the party, formed his own RKP, came back, then left, and then came back. So party is always bigger than an individual, for sure. As for Ford, by-elections are far off. They have time to recoup whatever little damage it will cause. So I think they can. But the point is, they have to take a decision. And I think what is more important is that they must decide it, because it's the state which is suffering. The governance of the state is suffering because everybody thinks that Yogi may go. So whatever decision the leadership has to take, they must take it today. Now, then, whatever the consequences are, I think the party should be able to do it. Regarding whether they can afford or not, yes, they can. It should not be a very big issue, because I don't think so he can split the party. He will not split the party. But there are other things, and I don't think so. The ministers, even if he goes for early dissolution of the House, I doubt he'll have enough strength of the ministers to do that, as it happened earlier when Mayawati had done. But yes, there'll be some damage, and damage is the part of the public. Now, this is where they have to decide that their Hindutva vote bank has already collapsed. Whether if they want, if they are willing to have a leader who can rebuild it, or they have a plan to rebuild their Hindutva vote bank, especially with Akhilesh PDA, the caste census, then maybe, but little damage will be done. There will be impact. There'll be some type of ripples in the public, in a community. But to say that he'll be able to split the party, that I don't foresee. I don't foresee that.
Well, our viewers have also sent a lot of questions. I'll take a few. Karthik Parashar wants to know, can a person who can't even retain his assembly seat become a CM? That too of a state like Uttar Pradesh.
He's referring to Keshav Prasad Maurya, I suppose. He should not. My answer would be he should not, and the party should also not make him CM, because at least they should win their own seat, if nothing else. And Keshav Prasad's performance, the region which he controls, they have not done very well, especially Allahabad and Kaushambi. If you look at it, principally speaking, ethically speaking, no, he should not. But politics means sab hota hai.
Right. And Madhur wants to know, the deputy CM who spoke against Yogi is currently in Delhi. Is the real conflict in UP between High Command and State Command?
I couldn't get it. Sorry.
Madhur wants to know that the deputy CM Keshav Maurya, who spoke against Yogi, is currently in Delhi. So he wants to know, is the real conflict in Uttar Pradesh, is it between the High Command and the State Command and not about individuals?
Of course, it is. It is, and this has been there for quite some time. And the answer comes from the appointments of senior officers. You see, the Director General of Police, the state has to take concurrence of the central government as per the rules. They can't appoint a DGP without approval. They have to send a panel of 3 people, and then I think we had this is the third acting DGP we have. So there is some type of friction between them. As for individuals, yes, it is between the two. Between the two, despite the double engine government they talk about.
And Karthik Parashar wants to know, will cutting Yogi to size make Amit Shah an acceptable successor to Modi? He's saying Advani never became the accepted successor to Atal Bihari Vajpayee.
Let them cut Yogi to size first. I think it is jumping too much. In politics, you can't. I'm talking to you right now. By evening, we may have something else. So politics is something which is. But let them first do that, then we'll discuss that too.
And one last question, which is from Abhinav Srivastava. He wants to know that, he says, it is clear that CM Yogi's rising popularity nationally has made the top BJP and RSS uncomfortable. But isn't it still too big a risk for BJP to weaken and sideline its most popular chief minister, that too of UP? Is it more so because the mandate of Modi has weakened and he is wary of a possible takeover beyond his tenure?
You said Karthike or something, name, no, whatever. You still feel that Yogi is such a popular figure. If UP gets 33 seats, I think the maximum rallies, the maximum public meetings were done by him and Modi. So both of them have to do, some type of thinking about their popularity also. You can't say that nationally or in the state, both of them have retained the same popularity which we saw earlier in 2019. So I don't think so. I think both of them, their image has dipped slightly, and they need to work on that.
And what can we expect in the days to come?
There'll be a change. I don't expect a change like Gujarat, where they went for a complete overhaul, because that time Gujarat is a different state altogether. Nobody could have questioned the decision of Delhi. And also, it was after the victory, I suppose. There'll be some changes for the time being. It could be in the organization. And before 27. Now let's see what happens in the bypolls. For the first time, the bypolls have become so important. It's something which, we used to say that all the bypolls are won by ruling party. But suddenly, a lot is being talked about the bypolls also, that is 10 seats. And today, Yogi held a meeting with his ministers, giving them duties and going to the field and winning them. So as of now, I see changes at the organizational level, and then there can be a shake-up in the government also following that. Whether Yogi will go or not, that is something.
I think you are right. I mean, we are probably jumping the gun. We don't think. I mean, I don't really think we have reached that stage. These ripples that we are witnessing, that's right after the Lok Sabha election results. These ripples will settle down. Yes, some appointment here, there, some small changes here and there. I don't really think this thing blowing up beyond a point.
I think they are going to do some course correction in the party. I think they will do some little bit of image building. Even for the prime minister must be worried himself. You see, he may not show it, but he's a popular leader, and he was the most popular leader. And coming down to this number, it must be, somewhere it must be hurting him himself. And definitely BJP will do a course correction before the next election, and they have to keep their allies happy right now, which is also a difficult task. And as for Yogi, I'm very sure even for Yogi, they'll make some course correction. How he'll go. If he stays, then he'll have to keep the party men.
I see Yogi already changing, because as you said, like he is meeting ministers, giving them assignments for the assembly bypolls. He has started meeting MLAs now, which is not happening earlier. So the impact is already visible.
He's a quick learner also. I said he's stubborn, but he's a quick learner also. In politics, if you don't learn, then you are gone. He's a quick learner. But how much he'll be able to change his temperament, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for this, Sunita ji. And before we end today's episode, I would like to just say, at The Print, we strive to bring you journalism that matters, and for this we need your support. So please do subscribe to The Print. All the details are there in the description box. You just have to click on the link and become a paid subscriber. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you,
Thank you,
DK
Reema.
sir. Thank you.